Hi guys, I hope you all are doing well and welcome to Office 365 Concepts. This is the fourth video of this entire series that is dedicated to Microsoft Intune. In the last video, we discussed how to prepare your tenant for device enrollment. We customized Intune Company Portal. We configured terms and conditions. We configured device categories. And we learned how to restrict enrollment on the basis of number of devices and device platform. In this particular video, we are going to discuss the different types of enrollment methods for Windows devices. We will learn what is compliance policy, how does it work, how to create compliance policy, and how to apply it to a security group. We will also talk about configuration policies. We will learn how to create configuration profile and how to apply configuration profile to a group of devices. As we know, before you start managing a device in Microsoft Intune, you need to first enroll that device. You can enroll a personally owned device as well as corporate owned device. There are two ways a Windows device can be enrolled in Microsoft Intune. Users can self-enroll their Windows devices, or an administrator can configure policies to force automatic enrollment without user involvement. If we further break down self-enrollment method, a user can self-enroll his personally owned device, that is also called Bring Your Own Device or BYOD. Users can register their personal devices with Azure AD to get access to the company resources. And these personal devices are enrolled to Microsoft Intune as BYOD or Bring Your Own Device. Users can self-enroll corporate-owned devices as well. Users will join these devices with Azure AD, and these devices will be enrolled with Microsoft Intune as corporate-owned devices. And the third type of self-enrollment method is Windows Autopilot. Windows Autopilot automates Azure AD join process, and it enrolls new corporate-owned devices in Microsoft Intune. We will discuss about Windows Autopilot in detail in one of the upcoming videos. But for now, just understand that Windows Autopilot simplifies out-of-box experience, and it removes the need to apply custom operating system images to the devices. Now, if we further break down administrator level enrollment, administrators can configure Active Directory group policy to automatically enroll hybrid Azure AD joint devices to Microsoft Intune. Co-management is a combination of on-premise configuration manager and Microsoft Intune. Co-management lets administrators to enroll their existing devices to Microsoft Intune. Those are already being managed by configuration manager. So this way, administrators can take benefit of both Microsoft Intune and Configuration Manager. Next type of admin level enrollment is Device Enrollment Manager. Device Enrollment Manager is a type of permission that you can assign to the users who can enroll and manage corporate-owned devices. Next, we have bulk enrollment that allows a large number of devices to be joined with Azure AD and to enroll in Microsoft Intune. In bulk enrollment, administrators create a provisioning package. Then, using a USB, they install the provisioning package to automatically enroll the devices in Microsoft Intune. And the last method of admin level enrollment is enrolling Windows IoT core devices. In this type of enrollment process, first, administrators prepare their device using Windows IoT Core Dashboard. Then they create a provisioning package using Windows Configuration Designer. And then using SD card media, they install the package to automatically enroll devices to Microsoft Intune. So depending on your business requirement, you can decide which enrollment method suits your requirement. Now let's talk about compliance policies. You must have heard about compliant device and non-compliant device. Most of the time we come across issues where we enroll devices to Intune, but some of the devices are showing non-compliant. So what is compliant and non-compliant device? In nutshell, a compliant device is that meets the security requirements of your organization. Let's say this is a computer that we want to enroll to Microsoft Intune. It can be a personally owned computer or it can be a corporate owned computer. Now, as an administrator, I want that my device that will be enrolled to Microsoft Intune in my tenant, that particular device should have firewall and antivirus enabled. This is my security requirement, that every device that is going to be enrolled in my Microsoft Intune tenant should have firewall and antivirus enabled. So the administrator will create a compliance policy within Microsoft Endpoint Manager Admin Center. He will configure this policy as per their security requirements. That means he will configure settings like firewall and antivirus should be enabled, and will apply that policy to a group of users or devices. Now, if a user will try to enroll a device to Microsoft Intune that has firewall and antivirus enabled, that device will show as compliant in Endpoint Manager Admin Center. And if a user will try to enroll a device that has firewall disabled or antivirus is disabled, when that device will be enrolled to Microsoft Intune, that particular device will show as non-compliant device. Because this device doesn't meet the security requirements, those are configured within compliance policy. So this is what compliant device and non-compliant device is. Now let's say I enrolled a device to Microsoft Intune and that device shows as compliant device. So after enrollment, if I manually disable firewall in that particular machine, after a few minutes when that device will sync with my endpoint manager, this device will show as non-compliant because I have disabled firewall within the machine. So that is the reason this machine will show as non-compliant in Microsoft Endpoint Manager. So basically, a compliance policy is used to make sure that the devices those are getting enrolled to Microsoft Intune are meeting the security requirements of your organization. So as we discussed, you define rules and settings in compliance policy that users and devices must meet to be compliant. In compliance policy, you can define what action you want to take on non-compliant devices. You can combine compliance policies with conditional access, and you can block the users or devices those do not meet the rules and settings defined within compliance policies. You can also monitor the compliance status using device compliance dashboard. Using dashboard, you can check how many devices are compliant and how many devices are non-compliant. You can drill down to the policies to troubleshoot them as well. So let's move towards our lab and let's create compliance policies. To create a compliance policy, you will go to devices, scroll it down, and then click compliance policies. Now from here, you can create a compliance policy. This is a default policy that is already created. If you want to create a new one, click create policy. And from here, you will select the platform. For which platform you want to create that particular compliance policy. You want to create it for Android device administrator, Android enterprise, Android AOSP, iOS, Linux, Mac operating system, or Windows devices. For example, let's say we want to create it for Windows devices. Now, I have shown you the way from devices and then compliance policies. Now let's say you want to create compliance policy only for Windows devices. So you will go to devices, then go to Windows, and then click compliance policies. Now if you will create a policy, you will see only Windows platform here. You will not see other platform. So let's say we want to create a compliance policy for Windows 10. So you will select the platform or the operating system, click create. Next, we need to give a name to this policy. For example, compliance policy for Windows 10. You can give any name of your choice. And if you want to add description, you can, but this is optional. Go next. Now from here, you can select what sort of settings you want to be enabled on the devices so that these devices can be compliant with your organization. For example, for this demo, I will configure firewall and antivirus as my requirement. So let's go to system security. You can go through all these options one by one, and it will be easier for you to find out what sort of settings you can find under which section. So related to firewall and antivirus, you will find under system security. So expand system security, and here you can see firewall. I want firewall should be enabled on the machine. Only then that particular machine will show compliant in my Intune portal, and antivirus as well. Now, what will happen whenever a device will be enrolled to Microsoft Intune? If that particular machine has firewall and antivirus enabled already, only then that particular machine will show compliant in my Intune portal. If, let's say, I have enabled firewall from here, that I say firewall is required, and in machine firewall is disabled, and that machine will enroll to Intune portal, that particular machine will show as non-compliant. So once you have made your selection as per your requirement, click next. Now you will see a default rule here under actions for non-compliance that says mark device non-compliant. So as soon as a device will not meet these requirements that you have configured here, when that device will be enrolled to Microsoft Intune, that device will be immediately marked as non-compliant. So if you want to create another rule like send email to end user, add devices to retire list, you can add the rule as well as per your requirement. And then go next, and under assignments, you need to define to which user, to which group, or to which device you want to assign this particular policy. Now, you might have a question that we are enrolling devices to Intune. So what is the purpose of applying these policies to the user accounts? So when you enroll a device to Intune, you use a user account that has Intune license assigned. So if I create a security group of users, and if I apply a policy on that particular security group, that policy will be applied on the user accounts automatically. And when I will use that account to enroll a device, the settings, those are defined within the policy, will be triggered on that particular device where I'm using the account to enroll that device. So either you can apply the policy to the user level or to the devices. But for this particular demo, I will create a security group. So let me open another window. If you want, you can manage users and groups from Endpoint Manager, or you can do it from Azure Active Directory as well. So let's go to new group. We will select security group here, and we will give it a name. Let's say devices sales team. We will assign users who are part of sales team within this group. And if you want to add description, you can add it, but that is optional. And let's go to dynamic device membership type, and then go to add dynamic query. So here we will add property device category. Operator will be equals, and here we will type sales. So that means we are creating a security group for the devices who will be part of sales device category. Basically, device category is to segment the devices basis on the department or basis on your requirement. So create this rule and then click save and then click create. So we have created this security group, and we have added condition that says device category equals sales. So now when a user from sales department will try to enroll a device, he will select sales category while enrollment process, and that device will be added automatically within this particular security group. So now let's go back to compliance policy, and under assignments, we will add this particular group. So we will click add groups. Make sure you are adding it under included groups, not under excluded groups. So under included groups, click add groups. And here, look for this group that we just created, devices sales team, and then click select. So this particular group is added. As of now, there is no device or no user within this group because we haven't enrolled any device in Microsoft Intune. So click next. You can review your settings. If you want to make any changes, go back and make all those changes. Once done, click create. So this is how you create and apply compliance policy in Microsoft Endpoint Manager. Now let's talk about configuration policy. Configuration policy is used to apply and control settings on devices. You can create configuration policy in Endpoint Manager, apply that policy on devices or group of devices, and those settings will be applied automatically on the devices. You can configure settings like Wi-Fi settings on the machines, VPN settings, or security settings. If you're familiar with group policy in local AD, you can manage all those settings in Microsoft Intune. So to create a configuration policy, you will go to devices. If you want to check all the platforms, you can simply go to devices, scroll it down, go to configuration profiles. Now again from here, you will have to select the platform. But let's say if you want to create a configuration policy for a particular platform, like say devices or iOS, so you will go to that particular platform or the operating system, and then you will click configuration profiles. And to create a configuration profile, click create profile. Under platform, select the platform. And under profile type, you will see two options, settings catalog and templates. Settings catalogs is similar to group policy in local AD. You can find all these settings under settings catalog that you can apply on the devices. When you create the policy, you start from scratch. You add only the settings you want to control and manage. For example, you can use the settings catalog to create a BitLocker policy with all BitLocker settings. So select settings catalog and click create. Give it a name. Let's say Windows 10 config profile. Go next. Now from here, click add settings. And from here, you can add all these settings that you want to add, like network, printer, system settings, start menu, and taskbar. So whatever you can control with the help of local AD group policy, same thing you can do it from here as well. But apart from on-premise group policy settings, you will find lots of other settings in Microsoft Intune that you can control for the devices. So let me close this and let's go back. Let me reopen this window. Create profile, platform, and the other option or other profile type is templates. Under templates, you will find multiple templates that you can use to manage settings on the devices. For example, I will select device restrictions. Click create. Let's give it a name. For example, Windows 10 configuration profile. Go next. So this particular section is only for device restriction. Under device restriction, you can manage all these settings. You can allow or block App Store. You can control all these settings from here. You can control the storage, cloud printer. You can control the display or the general settings. You can even control the messaging settings on the machines, password settings. All these settings can be managed from Microsoft Intune and with the help of configuration profile. So for this particular demo, I'm going to use General, and under General, I'll disable OneDrive file sync, and I'll block removable storage as well. And apart from General, I will make some changes in Microsoft Defender antivirus. I will enable real-time monitoring and behavior monitoring. So as per your requirement, you can check all these settings, and once you have made the changes, you can click next. Under assignments, you can select to which group, to which user, or to which device you want to assign this particular policy. So for this demo, I'm going to use the same group, that is devices sales team. Select the group, click next. You can leave this as it is. Applicability rules, click next. You can review these settings and then click create. So this is how you can create a configuration policy. So now when users will enroll devices and when they will select sales category while enrolling the device, this configuration profile will be applied on those particular devices. In the next video, we will discuss how to set up automatic device enrollment for Windows devices. So if you have learned something new from this particular video, please write in comments and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any suggestions or feedback related to the contents that I'm posting, feel free to write in comments. Thank you guys. Thank you for your time. Take care.